Greetings, and welcome to this brief introduction to Plato's Republic, Book 4. I'm Keith Whitaker. The theme of Book 4 is happiness. It is the theme with which the book begins, when Adeimantus offers the objection that the guardians of their city and speech will not be happy. It is the topic with which the book closes, as Socrates and Glaucon answer the question of the happiness of the individual human being. But the center of Book 4, around which all else revolves, is justice. The whole city will be happy even if no citizens or class of citizens may be especially happy within it, as long as the city is just. Every class, every citizen can be just, but they may not be happy. What about the justice in the one man's soul? Amazingly, the soul is like a city, with the same number of classes, or in this case, parts. And so, too, the justice in the soul is that each of its parts do its own work on behalf of the whole human being. Now, why the soul should serve the whole human being, part of which is the body, which makes the composite lower than the soul, and hence makes the higher serve the lower, is a topic for another day. So, justice in the soul is health, just as health is virtue of the body. It's obvious then that this justice in the soul would be essential to happiness, whether anyone else notices it or not. Just as you would choose to be healthy, even if you appear to everyone else to be sick, rather than to be sick and appear healthy. But that other justice, the justice in the city, is all about serving others' good. This justice in the soul is all about pursuing your own good. Put otherwise, justice seems both essential to, and possibly at odds with, your own happiness. So let's try this once again. The last one-third of Book 4 enchants us with the kaleidoscope of Socrates' analysis of the soul, of desire, anger, with a nod to reason along the way, the crescendo of virtues, the clarity of happiness as justice, as health of the soul. The first one-third of the book we admire. This is no common city with divisions, rich and poor, fads and corruption and reform. No, its education makes citizens who do their job, whatever it takes, with a nod to God at the end, a reminder of that upon which our hopes depend, however unphilosophic. The crux of Book 4 is the central section, figuratively and literally, the justice in the city. The city's happiness dissolves into its justice. But what is its justice? Is it its founding principle, that everyone does his own thing? To know this, we must try to identify every other good first, to see if that principle ends up elsewhere. We find first the virtue of one part, then another, then all three, but with regard to ruling. What is it all for? That is justice, or its question. Justice is the work of every part to do its own work. But for whom? The city or the man? Here, nature raises her head. For it is not a great attraction to their account of the justice in the soul that it is according to nature, like health. Is the city then also by nature? In its beginnings it looks natural, as it's grounded in need. Even in the feverish city, its fever is natural. The nurture and education that make the most just city are not opposed to nature, and may even claim to reflect nature and develop its potential. But this city requires a lie about God. That lie, if a God grants it, is its salvation. It cannot do without gods, as much as Socrates soft-pedals them, even mocks them. Nature is not enough to make a city. Speeches about God are necessary. That is the meaning of the justice in the city. Doing your job makes you deserving of happiness, through, at the very extreme, God's mercy. Still, there remains, at the beginning, the middle, and the end of this book, Glaucon's questions. What are justice and injustice in the soul? How do they really differ from each other? For example, maybe as Thrasymachus suggested, justice is artificial and injustice is natural. And which of the two must someone possess if he is going to be happy, whether or not any man or God notices? Book 4 shows us how hard it is to find this justice. For thus we want it, by nature and by God, an object of reason and of grace. Maybe this is the point of Book 4, to show to us as clearly as perhaps we ever see in the Republic that we want two things which are incompatible with each other, such that we cannot have both. That does not mean that we have yet had a complete exploration of these matters, the city and the soul, but at least through rubbing these two forms of justice together, the justice in the city and the justice in the soul, we produce a spark that enlightens matters while also consuming these two sticks. Thank you for joining this brief introduction to Plato's Republic, Book 4.